Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another installment of By Any Means.
By any
Yes.
means.
Ooh, that lag is something serious. It's all good, brother. How you feel, man?
Hey, I'm feeling all right today. Internet, hey, I can't control that. It worked fine when I was working my 9 to 5, I'll tell you that.
Nah, that's because you work for the government. See? Bridget, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just finished up some stuff for my doctorate, so I'm feeling accomplished. Tired, but accomplished.
All right.
Yeah.
Big applause. Round of applause. Look, the whole thing, right?
Thank you.
That's what's up. Hair looks good. You usually got the wraps popping, but the hair is like on 10. I see it. That's what's up. Look, we got a couple of special guests for you guys today. Miss Nydia, I'm gonna get your name right.
Hello. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm gonna call you the name your mama gave you. I promise. and then we also have another Hampton alumnus, Miss Shay Lawson, Esquire.
Hey y'all.
How you doing? So listen, guys, we are talking about, if you haven't guessed it, if you can't see right up there, legal protections for Black-owned business. All right. Just so that I don't get it wrong, and I want to make sure that people know exactly what you do and how you do it. They kind of know me. They kind of know Derek. They better know Bridget by now. But if you would please introduce yourselves and what you do, I think our audience will be greatly appreciative, and I think they'll be as excited as I am to have you guys on the show tonight. So starting with Shay, go ahead and tell us about yourself real quick.
Oh, wow. Well, hello, listeners or watchers. Is it both audio and video or only video?
It's video right now, but they can hear us while they see us.
All right. I'm Shay Lawson. I'm an intellectual property attorney, and for just in non-legal speak, that means that I help people protect the things that they create, and I do that through contracts, copyrights, and trademarks.
Nice.
Oh, very succinct.
And Nydia?
Hey, I'm Nydia. I am also an attorney, very different from Shay. I do real estate development, and basically I represent housing authorities, developers, lenders, investors in doing large-scale development deals. So mostly multifamily, sometimes with some commercial aspects, and deals all over the state. I do a lot of work in DC since that's where I'm based, obviously. But my expertise is kind of a niche of real estate development, which is basically federal subsidized deals. And so those deals have that federal subsidized money all over. So basically, if you have real estate deals, I've got legal work.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you. I'm eternally grateful to you guys for joining the show, and let's get into it. Okay. So I got some questions because I don't really know a whole lot about the law other than how to stay just far enough away from it to not get locked up. So, okay, that was a joke.
I'm you're Black. You can get locked up anyway. I mean, I didn't know it matter. It doesn't even matter. You're Black.
No, but no. Look, we want to know about, because there's a lot of people. Look, we've talked about the need for us Black folk to have our own. There's a lot going on sparked by the George Floyd murder. And there's a lot of talk about the Black community and how we progress and move forward as a community as a whole. And we've spoken about, the need to have our own businesses. We've spoken about, how to kind of get motivated and confident in, what you want to do and go out there and take your leap of faith. We talked about, some of the pitfalls that you could potentially run into. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I kind of want to know how we can protect ourselves, because, I appreciate what the brother Nick Cannon has done for the culture. You know what I mean? And I pray all is well with him and his mental state. But allegedly, him not owning the, copyright, I guess trademark of Wildin' Out was kind of a big misstep in terms of entrepreneurship. Am I wrong? So, I don't really know too much about the situation. I just know it doesn't sound pretty. And that's what I want to find out. How can we protect our businesses? So, what do you guys think?
Well, I can, to speak to Nick Cannon's situation, Shay is probably way more equipped to speak on that because I don't do what she does. And that's really more of like a creative issue. I think a lot of it is common sense. So a lot of it is probably less legal. I mean, it's really having your ducks in a row, and having your ducks in a row, means the legal part of it, the accounting part of it, the, know who you're working with part of it. So there's a couple things I would say that, if you want to, start your own business, I think one, you need to engage counsel that is relevant to your subject matter, right? So if you want to start a real estate business, you should have a real estate attorney or a corporate attorney. If you want to do something creative like Nick Cannon, you should engage an IP attorney or something, So engage people that have expertise in whatever subject matter, that you're trying to do, because they'll really be able to walk you through the steps of, what you need for that particular thing, because everything is different, right? There's not a one size fits all approach for any of the stuff. Number two is have said attorney, draft some type of legal document. So an operating agreement, a partnership agreement, some type of like corporate formality, right? That sets your business up so that you individual are a separate entity from your business. So that means that, if something goes wrong with your business and someone wants to sue you, they're going to have to go through your business. They're not going to be able to go through you. Now, if you're the sole member, ultimately they can get to you, but it basically gives you some type of like legal protection. So that would be number one. And I mean, I think number two, and I think that I've seen in my work that oftentimes people want to save money and, want to do this themselves. And it's not that it's going to always result in disaster, but when it's bad, it's bad. So if there is much at stake, it's worth, kind of engaging someone to kind of walk you through that process. Another thing that I've noticed that people often err in is the accounting aspect. So when you're, doing your own business, you want to make sure that you're tracking how funds come in, how funds go out. You want to make sure that they're being categorized, correctly. So usually that means engaging some type of like CPA, bookkeeper, because it's, if you're doing a lot, it can become too time consuming to try to do that yourself. And then when it comes time to pay your taxes, now you have a mess and it's too difficult for, whoever to really try to like sort all your transactions out. And also, as you make money, it's often wise to pay your taxes like quarterly, because if you wait until the end of the year, and this has happened to me when I was my own, when you wait until the end of the year and you realize, oh crap, I owe the feds $30,000, and of course you can get on a payment plan or something, but when you can set it up so that you're paying quarterly, it's just less of a hit. And it also allows you to kind of plan financially too, right? Like, that, every quarter I'm going to set aside, $5,000 versus at the end of the year, you're thinking you made all this money. Not really. Now you have to, give all your money to the IRS and you already blew it all, They know what I'm talking about. Because this happens all the time. You feel like you're making money until the end of the year and you really haven't made any money. Another thing I would say is, to the extent the business is not just you, know who you're working with. I know that sounds really simple. Friends often get into business. You know, friends don't make the best business partners necessarily. Sometimes strangers do. But just know who you're working with to the extent that you can, and have, you know, like I said before, legal documents in place that set forth your business arrangement, right? You know, you get 20% of the profits, and they get, what, the rest of the percentage, but maybe they get some other fee. So like, just have your fee splitting, have your expenses, who's doing what, like have all of that in an agreement, because again, when issues arise, right, and you're squabbling about who gets what, who was supposed to do what, who's liable for what, you want to have something in place that can basically protect you. So those would be like really high level, tidbits. And I think that, again, depending on what your subject matter is, there's going to be, lots of sub bullet points, if you will, that are going to be relevant. So that's kind of my high level non-legal spiel.
For sure.
I also was just saying, I feel like Nydia said it's high level, but I feel like she's also dropping gems. And I think for new business owners, established business owners, those of us who have been just starting or have been doing it, these are things that all of us need to hear and hear again and hear again. So I think for me, right, hearing it, it's like, okay, just re-emphasizing if there's things that I'm on the beginning of the road of, or middle of the road, or I'm advanced in, just reinforcing that. So I think your gem dropping over there, Nydia. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. And actually, one more thing I forgot to mention is,
drop them.
Not only do you want to make sure you have a bookkeeper, CPA, someone who is well versed in tracking expenses. You want to make sure that you are segregating your business funds from your personal funds. Now, I know that there's, if you forget your business card and you only have your personal card, you can spend that and then you can do like a reimbursement. That's fine if that's the exception to the rule. But I often see people completely losing sight of the fact that their business funds aren't their personal and vice versa. And then again, that makes the bookkeeper's job so much more difficult when you're just spending crazy and there's no way to track, what belongs to what. So make sure you have a bank account, make sure you have, different cards that are for that bank account, and make sure that only the people who are supposed to be signatories to the bank account are signatories to the bank account. Just, make sure that you have your finances set up in a way that makes it easy for the people who, then have to like run financial reports or, do your taxes, etc.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I tell you, my cheat code is because a lot of people out there, they don't necessarily make enough money in their business. Maybe it's a side hustle or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they don't have enough money to hire like a true bookkeeper and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So and then I would feel bad if I had one because I was an accounting major and I actually owned a tax prep business at one point in my career. So I'd feel stupid if I had somebody else do it, even though my time is more valuable. Anyways, point is, my cheat code is the QuickBooks application, QuickBooks mobile application.
Yeah.
Because I can separate all my expenses right there on my phone. And then it even reminds me of when it's time to pay my quarterly taxes and approximately how much I need to pay. So it's as simple as logging into the application, doing it every month, going in, tracking my expenses and everything right there in the application. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I like it. It's convenient. And I found my taxes for free when it comes tax time because I subscribe to the app. It's the vice versa. I pay for my taxes on Intuit and they give me QuickBooks Mobile for free. And it tracks my mileage. So I take it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, download QuickBooks Mobile if you don't have just make sure you do it, right? So don't just get the app and download it and don't use it.
You better look to see if they have a referral code since you've given them a free ad on your show.
Right.
Oh, true.
Get those dollars.
Big facts.
Well, and I'm sorry, I know I lied. One more thing. So in the same way that I noted that you want an attorney who's well versed in whatever your subject matter is, you want an accountant who's also well versed, right? So like when I was doing development work on my own, right, our CPA was someone who regularly represented real estate investors and flippers, because they know the IRS rules around that type of stuff in a way that, normal Joe Schmo accountant wouldn't know. So just make sure that you're specializing who you hire. Yep. And you're not just like going with like whoever's cheapest or most available, just you want to make sure that they really know your field.
For sure. Shay, what do you think? What other legal protections should business owners be kind of thinking about before they just dive in head first?
I would say first and foremost, let me speak on behalf of myself and Nydia, that although we are lawyers, we are not your lawyer. And so the tidbits and the gems that you are getting today are information only and may not be applicable to your individual situation. And so please do not take anything here without first seeking individualized legal advice by a professional who is licensed in your state and is knowledgeable about your particular circumstance. So that's our legal disclaimer.
Thank you for that.
No problem. I would say, again, just to give a little bit more color and background to what I do. So I've mentioned that I do copyrights, contracts, and trademarks. And my clients are primarily in the entertainment industry and social media influencers. And so although those are their professions, there's lots of layers to that where someone may get a significant following on social media, and then their social media may become their business, right? And so they're an entrepreneur in themselves where due to their personality, they've launched a business, or you are signed to a record label because you're an artist or a producer or a writer, but now you've gained notoriety in a platform and you may want to venture into other business things like we see Rihanna with Fenty or Jay-Z or Diddy with like Sean John or Rockaware, things like that, right? And so there are a lot of kind of entrepreneurial things that are applied at very basic levels for what I'm doing for my clients on a day-to-day basis. And so the very first thing that I would go back to reiterate is the idea of contracts and getting quality contracts that specifically cover your individual business and your specific scenario. I always tell people, if it's enough money to be mad about, you need to get it in writing. If it's enough money to be mad about, you need to get it in writing. I think secondarily, having appropriate provisions for confidentiality, non-disclosure, and non-compete, especially when you are still in the beginning stages of trying to figure out your business. I talked about this in an IGTV I just did about Beyonce's Black is King, and how many people took part in this and had to sign non-disclosures in order to keep this project a secret and what it was for over a year's time, right? And so as entrepreneurs or people who are thinking of starting businesses, you want to apply that same kind of protection to what you're building. You often cannot build your business alone. So you likely will need a graphic designer. You might need a photographer. You might need to consult somebody with your idea. If you're trying to build an app, you might need an app developer, right? And so there are all these people that you will engage to ultimately help you build your business, but you don't need them running off and launching your idea themselves or telling your business idea to this person. Oh, I did this photo shoot with so-and-so and he about to open a tax business, but the gag is it's going to be blah, blah, blah. No, I need you to go ahead and sign this NDA. I'm hiring you to do this thing. You also need to start putting people on a need to know basis. Everybody doesn't need to know everything. You don't need to know why I need these pictures. You don't need to know why this app needs to be this way. So that's more so called trade secret, where it's not something as defined as a trademark or a copyright, but it's something that is unique to your business and something that I think everyday people can think about when they think about trade secrets is the KFC original spices or the recipe to Coke or the recipe to Pepsi. No one person knows the complete recipe. The people who need to know their step in the job, I know I add this much caramel. I know this person on the other side, I add this much caffeine. This person on the other side of the building, I add this much, soda water. But nobody has all the complete instructions. And I think we want to take a little bit of that as we as God has kind of planted seeds of business in some of our hearts. We are quick to spread them out before they've had an opportunity to grow by spreading the word. So I would say having appropriate agreements that guard against confidentiality, non-disclosure, non-compete. You want to have your independent contractor agreements that give you ownership of the work. A lot of people don't realize that when you hire a web designer, you hire a graphic designer, you hire a photographer, they are the owner of that work. It does not matter that you paid them. Absent an agreement that says otherwise, this designer owns your business logo. So you got these cool business cards made, you got this cool website made. If your agreement with that designer, that person who made the logo, that person that made the website does not specifically say that upon payment, all rights to this, are released to you, then you might want to think about that. And then I wanted to touch on two more things that Nydia talked about. One was operating agreements. And when you're talking about I always say, and I have an entire blog post on this, and if you go to, I'll give you guys the link if you want to link to it. If you go to shayamlawson.com and you search for doing business with friends and staying friends, I actually have a free downloadable template that gives you a guide of questions that you should be asking that would govern an operating agreement between people doing business as friends. And sometimes you really want to think about the unthinkable. And I hope that COVID has kind of put this on our hearts that anything could happen at any moment. What if you got sick? What if you died? What if the industry turned? Do you have that in writing somewhere that should something happen to me, this is what I want to happen with my portion of the business? I think in the era of Trump, regardless of your politics, you might want to think about whether all business is good business, whether all money is good money. If you're doing business with somebody else, is there certain opportunities, certain monies that you won't take? And a good example of this from an entrepreneurial standpoint is Dan Cathy and Chick-fil-A, that even though he died, Chick-fil-A ain't open on Sunday. Hands down, the Super Bowl was at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A was closed. Like there is, when there are certain standards where you're saying, what is the legacy that I'm building with my business, and what are the protections that I'm putting in place to make sure that should something happen to me, should I be in a coma, should I get COVID, should I die, should I need to step away to go take care? We are all getting at that age where we might need to go take care of a parent or an aunt or an uncle or something. So what if I need to step away from my business to go take care of somebody else? Do I have my powers of attorney in place? Do I have my financial power of attorney, my health power of attorney? And the last point outside of the operating agreements is handling business as business, having appropriate invoicing, which you talked about via, you could do via QuickBooks, and having a client services agreement. Because when a lot of this government aid came around with the PPP and all of the loans, a lot of people didn't qualify because they weren't handling business as business and could not account for income that they made, even though they were really struggling and would have benefited from the funds.
Yeah, I think that's extremely valuable information. It's funny you touched on two things that I have two things and then a question, right? So two things that I've had to learn to do, because I've been spending the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months pitching to VCs and angel investors, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't want to sign non-disclosure agreements.
They're not going to.
Right.
They're not going to, not at that level. You need them. They don't need you. Right. If you haven't read it already, Wall Street Journal did a really good write-up on how the company who originally came up with the concept of the Echo presented it to Amazon, and then Amazon came out with the Echo. Did you already read that?
I didn't, but I heard of it.
Okay, yeah, go and read it. It's not just the people who made Echo. It's the Ring, like it's a lot of major products that we use, all told stories about how they pitched not directly to Amazon, but to their Alexa fund, which was, you know, kind of structured as a VC or an angel, you know, an angel investment. And they then took the ideas. They acted as though they were going to invest money, but then took the ideas and launched them themselves. And so it is something that you want to really gauge if you are pitching a concept, and you have to say to yourself, is this worth it if I get cut out? And do I have the underlying protections? Do I have, if it's something engineering, do I have my patent? Is my patent at least pending? Is my trademark pending? Is my copyright to this concept filed, so that should they violate this NDA or decide that they're not going to sign an NDA, do I have a legal standing in court against somebody, understanding that you cannot legally protect an idea. You can only protect the execution of the actual idea itself.
Right. So to your point, what I've had to learn to do was kind of leave out little bits and pieces of information, those trade secrets, right?
Yeah, and then need to know basis.
Yeah, yeah. And then so the biggest thing for me is like, you know, when I'm speaking to these people, and you know, they have the upper hand, they have the capital, I don't, right? I understand what I do is I'll my whole point in speaking with them is not just to try to get money from them, it's to see if we have like personalities that are cohesive. You know what I mean? So I'm leaving out information, and I had one person ask me, you know, well, this doesn't make sense. I still don't understand how you can afford to do this. I said, I know, that's because I left out some information, because I don't know if I'm going to work with you yet. And he just started laughing. He was like, okay, I understand, you know, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel like he was the right type of person for me. I didn't feel like we could work together because he was too aggressive, you know what I mean? And he wasn't in it for the right reasons. So I had to kind of let that go. Another person another group actually offered me, you know, the money that I was seeking, but I turned them down because, again, it was more of a money grab to them versus, you know, actually doing what's right by people. So I'm the first one to tell you, man, I'm quick to turn down a paycheck. I don't care if it don't feel right. If I feel like I'm hurting somebody in the process, or hurting myself, or even hurting you, I'm not going to do it, because it's just not worth it. I believe in karma. You know what I'm saying? So I've had opportunities, but as a result, I've had to turn around and figure out a way to make it happen on my own, knowing that I may never find the right person to kind of inject capital into kind of what I want to execute. So that's fine by me. But I think I want listeners, the viewers, to learn, not necessarily learn it, but don't be afraid to kind of stick to your guns and have some morals and some, you know, fortitude about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid. I always tell my clients, don't be afraid to bet on themselves. And I talked to Vivek Barak. He is the entrepreneur in residence for WeWork Labs, and he's also an attorney that specializes in startups and venture capital. And one of the things that he said when I was interviewing him for my podcast, he said, it's more money, more problems. When you get investors, that's when the real problems start. So
100%. I read all the Sharks books, right? So Barbara Corcoran, Mark Cuban, and I'm on Damon John's third. I'm on my third of his books. And it's funny, all three of them said, don't take money from sharks. Sometimes that's the worst thing you could do. So it was at that point, I was like, okay, now it's time to figure out how I can make this thing happen on my own. And I did, and I got help of a few good people, and we're about to make it happen. So I'm excited about that. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to get some other opinions, guys. Derek, how do you feel about, you know, protections for Black-owned businesses? What kind of issues have you run into amongst either yourself or with your, you know, line brothers, you know?
Yeah, no, I could add a bunch of stories, whether it's about the small sole proprietorship that I created in terms of developing custom paintings for people in my 20s. Now I'm in my mid 30s, right? So that was definitely, I try to leverage all of my experience and to at least carry them forward as lessons learned, so that I can move forward in a better way and improve. And that kind of goes back to kind of government. I wanted to tie it there. So in working within the public sector, I want to say that I appreciate the experience that I've had working with the legal shops, or OGCs, the Office of General Counsel, because it actually lends itself to the lawyers that we have on the show, Nydia and Shay, because what you said about making sure that you have your contracts in order is very important. So I don't work in acquisitions or procurement, right? I work in financial management in various capacities, but we have to do what? We have to manage vendor contract acquisitions. We put bids out for proposals and stuff like that. And I've done that on both sides. When I was a contractor with big firms, had to put out proposals for work that the government was lending out. And there's a procurement process within the government for that, which has legal representation. So to Nydia and Shay's point, you definitely want to make sure you're operating with your legal representation and your appropriate legal representation in terms of that specific niche that you're working within. So that's a lesson learned that I got from my corporate experience, right, in the public sector, that is I'm able to leverage going into anything or deal that I do for my own personal business, like working together with you, Kelvin. I've got that experience. So I know how to talk to you and learn from you and leverage my examples to move forward with how we can get legal representation. We'll speak to Nydia and Shay later about that. But no, I greatly appreciate the insights that you all have already provided. What I do want to share too, in terms of the discussion thus far, is Shay just hit on the nail on the head in terms of, she tells her clients, hey, bet on yourself. What I also want to reiterate to the viewers right now is no matter where you are in your life right now, this episode is about protections for Black-owned businesses. Don't be afraid of the terminology that's being shared, the gems that are being dropped, as Bridget alluded to as well. Don't be intimidated. Don't get beyond that fear. Definitely know that, hey, you can reach out to us to reach out to some potential lawyers or legal representation. There are resources that are already available in terms of books, in terms of your own work establishment that you're currently working at if you have a job, and then also with the internet. There's a lot of information out there, but as I hear a lot of lawyers and doctors say too on social media, they laugh at a lot of people that try to be social media lawyers or doctors by saying what they know, but that's not their field. So just don't be afraid of the information that you're hearing. Our goal is to present the information to positively affect your business and your entrepreneurship goals. But I have some line brothers, as you said, and friends and associates in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that have either done well or not done so well in terms of their entrepreneurship activities and goals, based on even how they formulated or began and established their business without having that legal representation to help them to establish those protections early. Before they got into it. So it's not only it's an end-to-end process. You want to make sure that you understand business. You want to understand yourself. You want to understand that you're going to need legal representation from cradle to grave, an end-to-end process in terms of beginning, during, and after phase. So definitely you want to have your protections. And yeah, I'm taking notes. Thank you too, lady.
I'm definitely taking notes as well. And I think that Shay, I did get a chance to listen to your last IGTV where you talked about Black is King and you talked about Beyonce, and I thought your just thoughts and the way the way you put it together was just, for me, there was a light bulb that came on, and I loved your energy as you were doing it, because as she was like having this conversation, she's just like, you were just smiling and effervescent the whole way. Like basically Beyonce secured the bag over and over and over and over again. And I think what I got from you, Shay, in that particular post, and then conversations that I've been having and things I've been listening to over the past few months, especially during this time as it relates to Black business and my business, is that ownership, that true idea of ownership comes with with making sure that you're protected legally. If you have the legal things in place and the protections in place and your agreements in place, and like that's where you're able to actually structure and strategically kind of create and curate the experience that you want to have and that you want to see for your business. And that for me was a light bulb moment. That was an aha moment. I have had my leadership development company since 2015, birthed out of business school at Georgetown, but I didn't start operating for multiple reasons until around 2018. And then some of the pitfalls that you all are talking about, I've dealt with some of those myself, right? But there's something about, for me at least, this season of kind of listening, soaking, and seeing that in order for us as a people, and in order for me as a Black woman veteran owned business, I have to make sure that my legal stuff is in order. I have to make sure that I'm protecting my business in a way that makes sense. So I've reached out to lawyers for my first time, since I've had a business. And while it's I'm a feelings person. I'm that leadership development person. There's this feeling of like, I should have did this a while ago. And so you feel a little hard on yourself in the process, but then there's also this I feel really proud of myself because I'm like, you know what, if thinking about Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and everything like that, it's making me want to just more and more legitimize everything that I'm doing so that no one can take it away from me. And so y'all know I get like real, but I think these types of conversations are so crucial and important. And I always think about like, where do you start? If you're new and you're up and coming, like where are the things that you start with? So I'm always thinking about the steps and tactically how I can take things that are shared in these types of forums and apply that. But I think that, and I don't want to get preachy because that's not really where I'm going with it. But I think we talk about, we talk about economic empowerment. We talk like, how do we become empowered as a people? We talk about ownership on this show. We've done that, on the podcast. We've done that a lot. And one thing that I talk about frequently is freedom. And what does freedom look like and mean, in 2020 and beyond? And for me, freedom means I own my own shit. Excuse my language, but it does 100%. So. Anyway, thank you guys again for the. This is really good. This is excellent information.
So real quick for the viewers, Shay has been she's been kind enough to provide some links for you guys, right? 10 ways to do business with friends and stay friends, and then also legal and money basics every startup founder needs. So I'm gonna post those in the video. In just a couple minutes, so you can go and visit those links. I'm also going to put them in the video description, so you guys can go and get those great tips. Look, they're free, but remember, she's not your lawyer, so you got to make sure you seek appropriate counsel. Okay? Did I say it right, Shay? No.
Yeah, and the disclaimers are in the documents anyway. The disclaimers on my site, the disclaimers in my documents. It's everything. I did want to go back to something Bridget was talking about, and when we're talking about ownership and Black-owned business, I know something for me and moving my business forward. And I don't know if you guys already talked about it, so excuse me if you've already covered it. But I really felt like when I was launching my firm, I'm now talking about as somebody who I know I'm an excellent lawyer, but there's a difference between being excellent at what I do and excellent at running a business.
100%. Say it again.
So when I was looking to run my law practice as a business, full-time business and not a side hustle while I got my real check from, somewhere else. And I was looking for insights from other people who had small firms, who had their own businesses that looked like us. I felt like a lot of people were hiding the ball. People were giving me really ethereal statements. They weren't really, giving me direct things that I could apply, I could take. So when you're talking about, hey, what are the things that I can take? The two of us just told you. She said, get your CPA, get, a lawyer. We told you, get your NDAs, get your independent contractor agreements. Like, we're telling you specific things. And I really felt like when I was launching my business, like people hid the ball from me. And I think if we're talking about setting our own community up to win, then we need to set each other up to win. So I appreciate you guys creating this platform because you're trying to set other people up to win. And I have found, and this recently happened to me, that I reached out to somebody that I'm in another lawyer Facebook group with, and it's actually a white woman. And I've been looking at her site for a while, and I really love the stuff that she's doing. Like, I've been following her for years. I messaged her and I was like, hey, I love your site. I would love to chat with you. She was like, sure. Here's 50, here's my calendar. Let's talk really quickly. I talked to her and I was like, hey, I'm trying to do this. She was like, oh, I already did that. Here's my sales page. Oh, here's all the forms I use. I mean, she literally, I didn't have to ask for it. She literally emailed it to me while we were on the call. Like, here's the link to the page I did it. Here's the documents I used to do that. This is how I did this. Like, and I don't really feel like Black people truly do that. It's like we're afraid that if we put somebody on too soon, if we give somebody the direct keys, we won't win. And that's not true, because we win when we all win. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. I'm off.
It's good. It's good.
Yes, I so agree with what you're saying. And I feel like I've experienced that same thing where, you can only be friends with someone, or friendly, let's say, with someone to the extent that you're not a threat to, whatever it is that they're trying to do. And I've had my feelings hurt, in situations where I thought, we were friends, like, we're trying to do the same thing. Even though we're not doing it together, we should share resources. We should help each other out, because that's what I would do. But not everyone is like that. Not everyone wants to really see everyone win, right? They don't want you to win if it's at their expense, right? If it means that you're infringing on their connections, if it means that you're poaching their leads, or, so be wary of that. Be careful of it. Don't do it because it's not right. And I just feel like there is room for everyone. And so when you think that you're doing something in the name of, trying to further yourself, by trying to, hide, opportunities or opportunities for, kind of, discussion with others who are like-minded, it's not cool. It's just not the way that we should treat each other, in a world where we're all trying to just get ahead and, have a piece of the pie. So, I hate when I see people do that.
And it leaves us exposed, right?
Right.
And so that exposure is therefore not protecting. And it's not that you have to take on the protection of every business or every person around you, but it's definitely not the brotherly, sisterly, whatever thing to do, to leave, a fellow business owner, especially a fellow Black business owner exposed. And I think I could feel pushback to that on some level, right? Where people say, well, I did it, so if I did it, why can't you? You hear that, in our
that hate mentality. That's that hate mentality that people are carrying from undergrad. Let's just go ahead and leave it in undergrad. I went through this struggle. I went through this struggle. So now you got to experience it too. No, we absolutely have to break that mentality. And I talk a lot about negotiating for what you're worth. And I think either today or tomorrow is going to be Black women's equal pay day, that it took us until this time this year to make as much as white men, right? And so when we're talking about negotiating what we're worth, a lot of times, because we are not sitting in circles like this talking about how much we're making, how much we're getting paid, how much we're charging, we don't even know when we're getting underpaid. We don't even know when we're undercharging, because we are not equipped with the appropriate information, because we've been raised in Black households where it's go get my purse, but don't look inside. Don't worry, you just ain't got it. You know what I mean? And we have to, if we're talking about starting a new generation and creating generational wealth and legacies, we need to break a lot of our money mindsets. And a lot of that starts with being honest and being transparent with our peers about how much we're charging, how much we're making, so that we know the playing ground is actually equal or unequal, so that we can fix it.
So, story to that, at my law firm, I work at a small law firm, and it's not Black, but there happen to be a lot of Black people there now. Like, it's kind of weird. And so there was some discussion among some of my Black colleagues about, pay, and like we suspected that, some of our white counterparts may have been getting paid more. We just sensed that there may be some discrepancies. And so we were just like, you know what? We all went out to lunch. We were all frank. We told each other what we were making. We were just very upfront about it, because it's not a big law firm where it's lockstep. And, if you're a fourth year, you're making this. If you're an eighth year, you're making this. It's very amorphous. So we were like, you know what? If they don't want to give us any clarity, we're going to get it ourselves. So we laid it out on the table. We determined that amongst ourselves, it made sense how much we were getting paid based on our, years of experience. And from there, we were able to basically, kind of talk to some of our white counterparts, get an idea for how much they were making, and then get clarity from administration about, like, even though it's a small law firm and it's, stuff isn't as transparent as it would be in a big law firm, like, it needs to be fair. Like, there's no reason why these two white associates should be getting paid more than us if they have fewer years. Like, we all do the same shit. We all,
Yep.
like it. So,
Yes.
Just by being upfront and honest with each other, we were able to uncover a lot. And one of my colleagues, one of my Black colleagues, she was able to negotiate a $30,000 raise. She now had the tools to say, Nydia told me, so-and-so told me, so you can't hide the ball anymore. I have X years of experience. This is how much I should be paid. Either pay me that or I'll get a new job. Guess what? Consider that.
No, but they tell you all the time.
Transparent.
Yeah, they tell you all the time, don't talk about your salary. You're not supposed to talk about your salary on the job.
Should.
HR will tell you that. Yep, HR will tell you that.
HR. They like 2-3 times. They were just not really they just weren't being frank. They were basically just saying it's not an exact science. We just look at everyone on an individual basis. BS. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, a friend of mine, after I had started, a friend of mine from law school ended up starting like a year later, and we have the same number of years of experience, but different experience. So I was like, listen, this is how much I'm getting paid. Don't sign that offer letter until they give you this. And she was able to get what she was supposed to get. So
it's one of those things, man, when you speak about the sharing of information, right? And how we need to get out of that whole mentality of, it's almost like when you're doing the same thing, people act like it's only $1,000 up for grabs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you working in $1 billion industry, but you don't want to share information because you think I'm gonna take your Happy Meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, relax. It's not that big of a deal. Let's share that information. Let's grow together. And there's plenty of money out here enough for all of us, for both of us. You know what I'm saying? So, part of what I've kind of delved into in the past few years, post Hampton, was this whole creative side of who I am. And I've successfully managed to transition from like my corporate job into working in the creative field full time, right? I have a videography company, a cinematographer, director of photography, whatever you want to call it. All of that. So the thing is, I don't want to do it for a living. I have too much fun doing it. It's just fun. It's fun to me. And I know, Shay, you're going to slap me for this, but I would so work with people for free. Like, I really don't care about this part of who I am, because I believe that my calling is a disruption of the banking industry. Therefore, that's where I know if I do what I'm supposed to do, what God tells me to do in that realm, I'll be taken care of. I'm all right. I want to do this fun stuff for free. I just so happen to be pretty good at what I do. And there are people who are still like, no, I'm not going to share my script with you because you might steal my idea. Bruh, I can write my own scripts. I have them on deck. I'm just trying to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that I'm trying to help you live your dream. I'm step outside your box, step out on faith. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you out. I promise you, I will take absolutely nothing from you. I believe in karma. You know, I just want to share my expertise with you. But, you know, a lot of people don't see it that way, and they're very protective, especially up here in the DC area. It can be kind of pretentious up here. You know, everybody wants to be bigger than what they actually are. And, you know, in a lot of ways, it handicaps the industry, the at least entertainment industry up here in the area, because everybody wants to be bigger than what they are. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be the man. But yeah, I strongly believe now. I wouldn't recommend anybody just go around giving away their services for free. I just happen to be a different type of individual.
Yeah, up there shaking.
Slap him, Shay, slap him.
I'm looking up. Wait, how does the camera go? I'm looking up at Nydia's right here on my camera, and she's shaking her head like,
I'm like a really like friendly, want to help everyone person. But as I've grown in life, my time is limited. So like, I would love to, you know, and I still get friends who are like, oh, can you review this real estate contract for me? And I'm, you know, a couple years ago, I would have said, yeah, of course, get it back to you tomorrow. I got a husband and 2 kids and a whole job. So if I'm sacrificing time, I need to get paid. And it's not rude. It's just life, right? Like I have things that I need to do. So if I am going to squeeze you in, I need to be compensated. It doesn't mean I'm not going to charge you my law firm rates, you know, but I'm going to charge you something because, again, my time is valuable, you know. And also in real estate, things often, you know, don't happen, right? Like you think you're going to do this deal at the last second, whatever, things don't happen. So I am not going to put in all this work for something that's not even going to happen, right? And then what do I have to show for it at the end of the day? So, you know, I think we need to understand that people deserve to be paid for their services. If you want to give it out for free, that's great, right? But not everyone has the ability to do that. Not everyone.
Right.
Yeah. And I have a client that that I talked to about this, and so something that I'm working with people on is strategic negotiations and understanding that everything's not always about money, right? There's some things that you are really passionate about. There are some things that just make sense for where you want to go in business. And so what I did was I had him determine what were things, what are meaningful projects to you. Like I see that education is important to you. Emerging entrepreneurs are important to you. Community is important to you. So I said, can you, law firms do this where you have a certain amount of pro bono hours that law firms will give you per year? We're on the clock with their resources. You can use up to 10 hours of billable time or 25 hours of billable time towards a pro bono thing. So if you as an entrepreneur, number one, I need to pay my bills. Like I can't pay my bills with passion. I pay my bills with profits. And so, but you know, there are things that are passion driven that drive my business and my desire to operate my business. So can I incorporate in my business some hours and some policies of like, these are the passion projects that I'm going to take on. I have room every year to take on 4 passion clients. And, you know, when that 5th person comes, I'm so sorry. I am maxed out right now. I literally don't have the bandwidth for it. Here is somebody else I can connect you with. Somebody from Hampton literally just reached out to me about a trademark or a copyright, and I'm currently booked out past Labor Day. And she was like, well, we wanted to talk to somebody, you know, this month. And I was like, I'm really sorry, my calendar is full, but here's this other person, and they're Hamptonian, and they do what I do. Like, you know, you will be in good hands with them. So I think those are the things, like figuring out what your passion projects can be, what your capacity for them is, so that you are able to still pay your bills with what you're doing, and then finding other people that you can refer work out to that are oh, it's a baby on the you know, that are reputable. And I think that when you find those things, and so even if you say, when you're talking about strategic alignments, am I taking this on because it will increase my visibility? Am I taking this on because it will open me up to other clients that are more aligned with what I'm trying to do? Am I taking on this project because it's about the financial industry, so it will more establish my expertise? So don't just take on things that are free for the sake of them being free. You want to be strategic with them on all levels.
100%. Yeah, let me clarify. So I take on passion projects because it does serve a business interest. So they are, so it's free projects. I'm trying to discover talented individuals who aren't necessarily out there for the sake of furthering another purpose that I kind of have in the back of my mind, which is associated with the whole disruption of the financial industry. So
I think be upfront with people. Then I would tell somebody, like, I am taking this on for this reason, like something 100%. That a lot of people ask me. So not in the past, in the last few years, I represented one of the women that previously dated R. Kelly. And we did a lot of press, we did a lot of interviews, and people were like, this isn't your wheelhouse. She's not the entertainer in this situation. Why did you take this on? And I told her up front when I met her, when she tried to engage me, I said, you're not my wheelhouse. I don't do this. And I was like, the only reason why I would do this is a passion project. I said, you as another woman, as a black woman in the industry, because she was a major radio personality at the time that she dated Rob. And so it's like, as somebody who was in the music industry, and I know as a woman in the music industry, how I'm talked to, how I'm treated behind closed doors, how all these people act behind closed doors, why nobody's saying anything. It's like, you know what? If there's an opportunity to be an advocate for somebody, this is, why I'm doing this. I want to be clear with you up front why I'm doing this. And, these are the drawbacks. This is it. And because I was transparent with her from the beginning, we just had that level of trust and was able, to build from the beginning. And I think that when you're doing stuff like that, people respect you on all levels. Like when you're talking about, I tell people in a heartbeat, I don't do this kind of law. I don't know the answer. I cannot help you. And when you are really upfront with somebody like that, they respect you so much more and are more likely to even give you their business because they respected your honesty and integrity.
Yeah, we had a whole episode on that. You know what I mean? It's okay not to know everything. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. So, Shay, thanks for saying that, because in this conversation has bled into other conversations, right? And that's the beauty of this show and how it speaks to the emphasis as to why we put this show together. Like, we want to provide and present great content in terms of how it can help people, not only our people, but all people. We oftentimes talk about, like Bridget mentioned, economic empowerment, how that's at the root of a lot of things in terms of power and money, not just racism, but we know that stuff exists too. Like we've talked about HR, it is not just in law firms. Like this is just, this is probably even down at the low level jobs, like in terms of, people working at Wendy's like I did in high school, or Kelvin working at McDonald's in high school with the milkshake that he mentions he got on his shirt all the time. Like,
not a game, man.
It's funny because like the game, as one of my friends from back home says, the game is sour. And like, I really feel that entrepreneurship and ownership is important, but we also, don't want to be remiss in the fact that representation matters. Like we have lawyers on this show right now providing gems and providing insight that you may not normally be accustomed to in terms of your regular life, or also the fact that you want to involve yourself into business opportunities or to be an entrepreneur. So, it's funny because we come back to this whole Black thing. We say protections for Black owned business. And, you know, Shay, you hit on this too, like Black business, but what's before that? Black people. And, you know, the economy is the economy and money is money. Our last episode was what, Kelvin? Money ain't racist. And we talked about that. But sometimes people can be. So the systems can be too. So, you know, it's funny. We all talk about what I've heard in HR's pay bands. Oh, you know, it's a science, like you all said. They're pay bands, so there's a range, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, when we all start talking, when we're not supposed to talk, and we find out some stuff. Oh, wait, you recruited me from Hampton to come work for your big firm for 55,000 per year, but these other people making 65. Why are they doing that? What did they have that I didn't have? Oh, you're putting them on a faster trajectory or path at work to you know, rise up the chain through upward mobility. Why? I just got a better performance rate, annual performance rating than them. So why are they getting a $30,000 bump when I'm getting 5,000? Like, what's going on? So, and one of our classmates or alum as well, Robert Maurice Franklin, he works in kind of financial market as well, and he was living with me in Alexandria at one point in time, and he would give me these books talking about negotiations, like you mentioned, Shay. And like, I've been lowballing myself my whole career. Like, I've gained the experience over top of people. However, like, I wasn't adequately prepared to negotiate my salary. Now, you know, that's another story, but it speaks back to Black people and how society has positioned us and how we have positioned ourselves. Calvin, you talked about the crabs in a barrel. Shay, you talking about college and high school, whatever, hate. And the mentality continues today. And it's funny because I can't divulge exactly a scenario that I'm in right now, but I can speak to prior experiences in the private sector with big firms for the public sector and also other agencies in the government. We not only experience pushback and hate and lack of opportunities from others, but it's crazy how we experience it from our own. Not even just knowledge sharing. Skip the knowledge sharing. Oh, no, you think, Nydia, you brought this up, like, you can't be a threat to somebody. And when somebody is competent, and this is what I want to speak to, Shay, it's kind of the opposite of what you're speaking to when you're upfront and show that integrity to people. Sometimes that's a threat too. I've had several experiences where, because I'm honest, I'm real, I'm competent, that scares some people and it intimidates them to the point where they're like, okay, well, I can't give him this opportunity because, oh, he gonna shine or he gonna take my light. No, that's not how I am. Like, I'm not gonna be that way, but you're that way. So then you're gonna project that outward to me and to the rest of the workforce. There's something wrong with society. One, there's something wrong with our own demographic and diaspora based on what others have done to us, based on what we have done to ourselves. We need to get out of this. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Kelvin hit us with the 10-minute warning. Can I give a summary of my legal protections before you cut us off?
No. I wasn't going to cut us off. You know, I just, you know, kind of want to be respectful of your time and your evening since you guys were so grateful for coming on. You know, I actually had another question to ask you guys real quick. Because I know, and then you can give your summary of services and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Feel free to plug, you know. But so listen, a lot of people are afraid of lawyers, right? They want the legal protection. They want to go and they want to start their business. They want to get everything going. You know, they want to do it the right way, but they hear a lawyer, they think ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm a big believer in you get what you pay for. You pay for, you know, you go for cheap stuff, you get cheap quality. You know, you get your money's worth, you know, at the end of the day. So I don't really try to skimp. But what do you say to people who want these legal protections, but, you know, you guys aren't cheap? You know what I mean? So what type of arrangements, what does that look like? Because there could be some people who don't even know how to pay lawyers. You know what I mean? What the payment structure is like.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you know, you have to know who you're going to, right? I mean, Because let's be clear. Like, I'm a real estate lawyer. Real estate lawyers are a dime a dozen, right? Most of us hopefully are competent enough to do, the basics. Let's just hope, right? Now, there's big law firms, which I used to work at. There's a small law firm, which I work at now, right? So if I'm starting on my own, and I need some legal counsel, I'm not going to go to the big law firm where I have to pay $450 an hour for associate time, right? I'm going to go to maybe a smaller law firm where it's $200 an hour. Or, if you're, really strapped for cash, you can, there's different fee arrangements, right? It's not, in my sector, there's no like contingency fee type stuff, but like, I've worked with clients that had, a smaller budget, and I said, okay, if you have, let's just take a number. If you have $5,000, let's do, I estimate that it's going to take this amount of time. The 5,000 should cover it, but once we're nearing, once I've done work that amounts to 5,000, let's regroup and assess what more you need, and then we can discuss, what to do from there. Or, so I think you just have to know who you're going to, right? Because the smaller the shop, right? So if it's a smaller law firm or a solo practitioner, they can be creative with their fees, right? If you're going to a big law firm, money is the bottom line, right? And it's just, it usually won't make sense for you to try to engage them and be creative with fees, because they don't really need your business, right? I mean, they've got plenty of people who are willing to pay $1,000 an hour for, work. So I just think you have to know who you're seeking services from, and, and look for people who are more flexible in their fee structures. And also people who truly care about what you do, because like Shay said, when you find people who have a passion or who really care about what it is that you're trying to achieve, they'll find a way to help you, right? Even if it means that you don't pay them as much as their other clients, they may figure something out for you. So don't be afraid of our fees. Yes, they can be exorbitant, but, so is that car you're driving.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna come in at. My fee is my fee is my fee. And and the same way that we could afford that trip to Ghana to go to Afrochella, or we could afford to go to homecoming and get new outfits, or we could, make Christmas miracles happen. Those are the same miracles we need to make for our business. If we're serious about our business, we need to budget for our business accordingly, and realize that the choices, I'll never forget this, because I was MC Hammer with money. Like I was blowing my money. I was Rick Ross. I was blowing money fast. And I watched Lisa Nichols' video. And one of the things that she said in the video, she said, the choices that you make every day are down payments to your dream. Mm-hmm. What down payments did you make towards your dream today? And I started looking at every dollar I was spending completely differently, where it was like, and I'm more so of like, I am that experienced person. I will pay for a really fancy dinner, for some, like a really nice trip, or really, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, did this $100 dinner, could that have gone towards my business? Like, especially living in DC. When I was living in DC, brunch gotcha, girl. On Saturday, brunch would start at 10 a.m. and I wouldn't get home till 8. Like, it was, before you know it, you could blow like $700-800 on a weekend in DC going to certain places brunching, if you brunch both Saturday and Sunday. Then it's like, people might not be out there spending in that manner, but there are some ways in which we're spending. A lot of the financial advisors talk about like those lattes or the subscriptions, like My husband has friends that they are launching a business. A husband and wife are launching a business, and literally they're cutting their subscription services, right? Where, you don't even think that much about it, where you're like, it's $12 here, $10 there, but they're so committed to their dream of their family business that they're willing to cut these corners. So to me, I want you to be smart. Treat any professional the way that you would treat buying a car or buying a house. Do your market research. Don't just talk to one lawyer the same way you wouldn't just go to one house or look at one car, or just take one price. Talk to multiple lawyers so that you see what range you're in, so that you see what options that you're in. Lawyers do consultations all the time, so they will not be offended by you scheduling a consultation with them where you were upfront to say, hey, I'm trying to get my budget together, so I really want to see how much something like this can cost.
Yeah.
That's not a waste of time. That's a respect of somebody's time, because you're trying to get your budget together so that somebody can say, and I've had people do it with me. I had a guy who at the time he was working at a record label, but he wanted to go out on his own. He wanted me to look at a contract or draw up a contract for him. And I think at the time I was charging like $1,000 for the contract. And he was like, ooh, I can't really do that. And I was like, okay, I feel you. And I sent him somewhere else. And I was like, I think this person can do it for you. He circled back to me. He launched his own business, came back to me like 3-4 years later with an even bigger deal and was like, okay, I got the budget for you. Now can I work with you? So when we're talking about protecting Black businesses, we can only protect ourselves if we exist. And that's only if we are charging our fair value. That's only if we are investing in the protections and the underlying things, like Nydia mentioned, with your accountants, with your lawyers, with your professionals, making sure you're getting a true market rate, that you've done your research and you didn't just throw your money at LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer or your homeboy's child support lawyer who told you he could draw up your business documents. You really want to do. People do it all the time. They're like, yo, the dude who did my traffic ticket said that this was cool. And it's like, he doesn't know about commercial real estate, and so you want to do your market research to make sure that you are positioning yourself to protect your Black business. And then we touched on it in the a little bit where we were talking about doing business with friends. But to me, one of the best ways that we can honor our friends is by paying them full price, by not asking for a discount. I respect you. I respect your business as your friend. I want to support you so much that I am going to pay you full price. And especially I have and Derek knows this, that I represented Yancey and did his trademarks for Success Without Limitations. I set up New Face for him to do the movie, all the waivers that everybody signed for the movie. I did that. I did all of that. Yancey paid me full price. Yancey is my big brother. Like, I wouldn't have Thanksgiving dinner without Yancey some years. Derek was there. But regardless, when Yancey was ready to do business, he came to me and was like, hey, sis, I'm ready to get my business in order. What do I need to do? How can I pay you? And that's the ultimate respect that you can give to a friend. So to sum my soapbox rant up, if we're talking about legal protections for Black business owners, number one, get your agreements together. If it's enough money to be mad about, you absolutely need a contract. Some of the core contracts that you need are operating agreements, independent contractor agreements that have work for hire provisions in them that say that in exchange for money, you own the thing this person made for you. And then last but not least, non-disclosure, confidentiality, and non-compete agreements for those same people who may be helping you build your new business.
Makes sense. Listen, gems, all kinds of gems you guys are dropping. Awesome. So listen, guys, this has been a wonderful show. I just want to thank you guys for joining in. I want to respect your time. You've been gracious enough, and I ain't trying to get a $3,500 bill for the night from the two of you. So listen, Nydia, if you could do me a favor and just kind of, do a quick recap of your services that you render and where you know, who your ideal client is, and I'll go ahead and put your contact information up on the screen while you speak.
Sure. So just to recap, I'm a real estate development attorney. I'm located in Washington, D.C., but I do deals all over. Most of my clients are developers, housing authorities, lenders, investors, cities, states, and, I'm available to assist with any type of transactional issues or regulatory issues that may arise in any real estate deals.
Awesome. And guys, this is her contact information. Never mind the software. It's a little bit difficult. Okay. But I'll also put her contact information in the description of the video. So for sure, reach out. Shay.
All right, so I'm gonna run through it all. So you can find a lot of the things. Kelvin already shared some links, but my main website is shayemlawson.com. I'm actually Shay Lawson everywhere. So Shay Lawson on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. But my main website is shayemlawson.com. You can listen to my podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. It's called A Minute of Your Time, a podcast helping entrepreneurs legally protect their passion and profits. Lots of great content on there from a number of guests. And right now I am actually launching a strategy services agency for solo entrepreneurs who are looking to scale to enterprise level. And you can find out more information about that at solo-ceo.com. And last but not least, when will this air, Kelvin?
This will be airing on Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Never mind then. That's it. That's all. That's
Monday
all.
the 17th.
Okay, that's all. I was gonna say that this coming Saturday. So for people who are watching it late, on August 15th, I will be presenting a masterclass at the Build Your Own Brand Live by another Hampton alum, a summit that he's having. I'm doing a masterclass on scaling, how to scale and legally protect your business as an entrepreneur. And I know that they will be doing replays. So make sure that you are following me on Instagram at Sham Lawson and following them at BYOB Live for your opportunity to get that replay as well.
Awesome information. All right, let's get some final thoughts from our co-hosts, Bridget and Derek. Come on, what's up?
I'll start real quick. So, as a business owner, as a Black woman, I am just totally in awe of both of you, and I'm totally excited to be able to share this platform with you today. So thank you for coming on. Thank you to our viewers for listening. I hope you guys have been taking notes. I feel like this was a note-taking one. This is a get your little notebook out, get your phone out and take some notes. And because a lot of the information, as I said before, these are gems that are being dropped. I'll say as a business owner, I think that I'm inspired by different things than I was in the past, right? As when I started my business, I was inspired by starting the business, and the fact that the thing that I was most passionate about was beginning to take life. Now, as someone who's ready to scale and grow her business, what I'm excited about is the ability to be able to legitimize it, to legalize it, and to really to solidify that legacy. So I really, again, appreciate y'all for coming on today. I feel super inspired by you guys and all of the things that you've shared with us tonight. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for another wonderful synopsis, Bridget. Bridget, Black is King. You got your you got your Beyonce, you got your Beyonce braids on, as we talked about through the show. So Black is King. I love you all. I love to you, kings and queens. Honestly, I want people to move beyond their fear, and then also move beyond the hate. So I'm glad that we discussed that today. Representation matters. We've said that many times. So representation matters, as we need not only employers or owners, but we need creatives, we need employees as well. We need to have our people, not just in our circles, but abroad in every capacity, so that we can reach out and expand. This has been I think a tangible legal conversation where many, like Kelvin, you spoke to this, people may have that fear about speaking to lawyers, whether it's because they are lawyers or because of the cost that is associated with it. So I think this has been a tangible conversation with insights for, business formulation and protections. I will say this: know yourself, know your budget, and do your market research. I have to do that when I'm managing acquisitions within the federal government as well. So thank you both for sharing that. And pay your lawyers. We really appreciate you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. And look, my dad told me a long time ago, man, you want something bad enough in life, you got to go and get it. Period. So I don't want to hear, I don't want to talk to a lawyer because I don't have the money for it. You want to start your business, don't you? You want to protect it, don't you? Humble yourself by any means necessary. Humble yourself. Ask for help. Buckle down. Save your money. Stop going to Chick-fil-A. Go get some chicken tenders from the store and fry them up with something and some peanut oil yourself. Okay? Come on, man. Come on, you can do it. It's not that hard. Save your money and invest that money into places where you're investing in your future. You're investing in your dreams, right? Like Shay talked about earlier. By any means necessary, man, and stop being I don't want to get preachy either, but at the end of the day, I'm so passionate about economic equality and empowerment that sometimes I get preachy, but it's not on purpose. I don't want to condemn anybody. I don't want to judge anybody, but at the end of the day, you gotta pour into yourself and stop pouring into the pockets of businesses that aren't owned by us. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to once again say thank you for watching. Thank you to our wonderful guests, all three of you. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you to our viewers for coming back on a weekly basis, especially the ones on Facebook. We love y'all. Salute to y'all. Dang, that's more promotion. See, Shay, I got to get better at this. But listen, thank you. This has been another installment of By Any Means, the podcast. We drop new episodes every Monday when the technology cooperates with us. We are live on Wednesdays on both YouTube and Facebook. And we might drop a promo here and there on Friday, Saturday, just keep you guys entertained. You know what I mean? So thanks again. And this has been another installment of By Any Means.